This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social, and I'm now joined by Callum Johnson here at the Amir Khan Academy, Gallagher's gym. Callum, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm all good, thank you. It's great to hear that you're doing well as well. You're back in camp now. Obviously, you're preparing for Sean Monaghan over in America. How's camp prepared?
Yeah, it's going well, mate. It's going well. You know, I'm getting fit now, getting sharp, weight's coming off, and back in there sparring, and yeah, everything's going well. I can't wait.
What do you know about Sean, and how come you decided to take him on in your first fight since Beterbiev?
It's a great opportunity. I'm back out in America. It's a decent payday for me, and I think by what I'm hearing, it's a very good chance I'll get a world title fight again. If I win this fight. So, there's a lot to play. It's like probably the most important fight in my career to date. Because if I was to lose, where do I go? But if I win, looking probably at another world title fight. So, everything's to play for, and I'm looking forward to it.
Even though the Beterbiev fight ended with a stoppage defeat, because of the fact that you was able to, put him down yourself and you put in a performance, which I don't, when you went out there, nobody really gave you an opportunity, and you've kind of put yourself into that mix because of the level that you boxed at until you were stopped. How big was that performance for you to maybe accelerate yourself on the back of a couple of years away from the sport?
It was great, really. I mean, I did myself some favours, really, but I still feel as though, knowing what I know and what I can do, I underperformed a little bit. I think maybe it might let the occasion get to me a little bit, and maybe his reputation got to me a little bit. But I've done myself plenty of favours. I think the people in America enjoyed it, and they want me back out there, and I showed what I can do, in stages. So, I'm just looking forward to getting back in, staying active, and as you say, I went into that Beterbiev fight, on the back of 90 seconds. I'd had 90 seconds in the ring in 2 years, so not making excuses, because that they was the cards I was dealt, and that's what I went with. But on the back of this activity, get this fight against Shawnee, hopefully come through this, and I'll have some real good activity behind me then, and I think I'll start showing people, what I really can do.
You've had time to reflect on the Beterbiev defeat. What have you made of your performance since?
Like you say, I'm still disappointed about it. I'll be honest. Everyone's saying how well I did and what a great fight it was while it lasted and everything else, and we both went down, and and as I say, when I went out there, not many people really gave me that much of a chance. So I think I shocked a lot of people, but I still kick myself because I still think I could have done better. And when I got him in the second, and I felt like I froze a little bit, I think. So, but I think I learned a lot from that as well, mentally, rather than physically.
You mentioned the fact, you're going back out to America now. It's a good little payday for yourself because of your time away from the sport and the fact that you're trying to accelerate back into the world level mix. Do you feel that you need to maybe pick up those extra little bit of money in the paydays because you want to make up for lost time and you want to leave yourself in a good position when you eventually retire? Yeah,
of course, man. I mean, I've got a young family at home, and I want to buy an house and secure my kids' future. And that's what my number one goal now is, to do that and get as much money as I can, for my kids. So when I'm old and it's time for me to go, and I'll go an happy man knowing I've left my kids, secure, and that's what I want to do. So I want the biggest fights possible, for the most money possible, and that's where we're at.
You mentioned that a victory over Monaghan would allow you to fight for another world title. What is the situation with that then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've just what Joe says. He says you win this fight, there's a good chance you'll get a world title fight again. But if not the next one, I think probably the one after. But it just puts me back out there, puts me in the mix again. It's people speak about me now at kind of that kind of level. They don't speak about me anymore at Commonwealth level or British level even. I get mentioned in the world title mix, so it's only good things can come from me now.
I just wanted to get your thoughts though on the current domestic scene, some names which have cropped up with yours. We'll start off with Anthony Yarde. He seems to come up a lot with yourself. What are your thoughts on Anthony as a fighter and this this pressure which has been put onto him to maybe fight someone who is better known on these shores?
I mean, it's not for me to say like what as a fighter. I think he looks good. What he does, he looks good. Physically he looks good. He does the job, and he's knocking these guys out. So you can't knock him, and you can't say anything bad about him. I see a lot of things on social media. Everyone's now starting to, like say, they want him to fight a big name in Britain, so someone who everyone knows. But their team, they're doing their thing, and good luck to them. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's going to be a day when he's going to fight a big name in Britain, whether it be myself, whether it be Buatsi, whether it be Jose Burton. You know, it's going to happen eventually down the line. So, you know, when it comes, I mean, it'll be exciting.
Jose Burton, one of your campmates, you know, speaking to him earlier, he loved that fight. He said it in numerous interviews before, he'd loved that fight. He saw Anthony out in America for Wilder Fury and had a little bit of a chat there. What are your thoughts if that one was to ever be made?
You know, I see Jose every day in the gym and I spar him and everything else, and I know how good he is, and I'd be picking Jose to win that fight. You know, I really rate Jose. I think he's probably the most underrated, under-talked about fighter in Britain, to be honest. So, yeah, I'd be backing Jose in that fight.
And Josh Buatsi will face Liam Conroy for your old British title. What are your thoughts on that one and Josh Buatsi?
Again, he's great. He's looking great. Everything he does, he looks great. He had a great amateur career. I think he'll beat Conroy. That's no disrespect to Liam Conroy, but you know, I think he's levels above Liam Conroy. And again, that's another one down the line that I think, you know, he's only heading to world level. You know what I mean? He's a top fighter, and I expect him to win the British title and be coming above that level very soon. So that's another fight down the line that could be a big British showdown.
Are there any fighters at British level that you would consider facing, i.e. Josh Buatsi or Anthony Yarde?
No, I've not got any particular, I want to face them for any particular reason. If the fight makes sense at the right time, and it's like you say, it's worth it, and it's the right payday for us both and everything else, and it makes sense, then yeah, of course, anybody. I'm a fighter at the end of the day. But like you say, again, there's big names at the super middleweight division as well that, you know, would excite me if ever they got sort of made, because I feel as though I could make both weights as well. You know what I mean? So if any fight ever got offered to me at super middleweight that made sense financially and everything else, you know, that would also be an option. So, you know, I'll just keep my options open and go for the biggest fight for the most money possible at the time.
Have you ever actually had that discussion then with Eddie, or spoken to Joe about maybe dropping to super middleweight?
Yeah, I've spoken about it with Joe a few times over the last couple of years, to be fair. But I've never spoken about it with Eddie. It's never really gone any further than a few conversations, do you know what I mean? But like I say, it is an option, I think, if the right fight's there.
Looking for a Callum Smith fight?
Nah. Like you say, again, me and Callum are good friends. We do numerous amount of rounds we've done together over the years, and you know, same with Jose, Jose, Callum. You know, we're all around the same weight, and we're all good friends, and we all spar together. So it's not even something that ever pops into my head. Do you know what I mean? It's not something that I don't. People ask me sometimes, "Oh, are you going to fight Jose? Are you going to fight Callum?" It doesn't even enter my head until someone asks me the question. To be honest.
I'll just get your thoughts on a few of the other boxing matters going on at the minute. We'll start off with the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua seems likely to go and face Jarrell Miller in America as well. What are your thoughts if that one does get made?
Well, listen, you know, boxing's a business, and you know, it's probably time for him to go over to America now. I mean, he's massive, isn't he? You know, he's the biggest name in British boxing, probably the biggest name in world boxing, him and Canelo. You know, go over now and crack America. The big fights that everyone wants to see are obviously not getting made for whatever reason. I can't comment because I don't know. I would like to see them, but they're not getting made yet. So go to America and start cracking America. Why not?
What are your thoughts in terms of the Dillian Whyte situation as well and where it leaves him?
I feel sorry for Dillian because, you know, I like him as well. I like him personally. He's a great fighter. I think he's earned his shot now for a world title. He's beat pretty much everybody there is out there to beat, apart from the top three. So you got to feel for him a little bit, but I'm sure he'll have his day because he's that kind of guy. You know, he's keeping grinding, he keeps fighting, he keeps winning, and he's like that guy, kind of that never stop mentality. You know, so I believe he will get there eventually.
And finally, next weekend we'll see James DeGale and Chris Eubank Jr. What are your thoughts on that bout?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm an old friend of James from the amateurs, or friend, I won't say friend, associate or whatever. We boxed each other years ago, and we've been on camps together and sparred together and things like that. So, you know, I like James personally. So I'll be honest, I'm going to be supporting James DeGale in that. If the fight was a couple of years ago, I would have no doubts whatsoever. But James has had his injuries, but we'll see on the night. But if I'm honest, I think I'm leaning towards DeGale on that one.
I've asked the rest of your campmates what their thoughts are on the fight in terms of it's been labelled a retirement fight. Do you see it like that as well?
It's not for me to say because at the end of the day, that's their decision, whatever happens. But I mean, if any of them get beat, there's still big fights there for him domestically, especially. So I think after the fight and they sit down and assess where they are, whichever one loses, I don't think it has to be a retirement fight. No, not personally.
Well, Callum Johnson, I know you've waited around a while now, so I appreciate you waiting and thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.